All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Matt Cornwell. I am the Associate Director of Student Services for the Saunders College of Business at RIT in Rochester Institute of Technology. I work closely with our graduate business programs, so today's session will focus on the various offerings that we have within the business school and our graduate program portfolio. So today we'll kind of run through what that portfolio looks like and then give some overview of each program, some of the highlighted aspects of the curriculum, as well as things like scholarships, application process, and things like that. Um, we generally view these info sessions as a starting point, right? So this will be kind of a broad, holistic overview of the programs. And then if you do have questions that you'd like to pursue going forward or want to connect further regarding your specific interests, definitely let us know. We can certainly meet one-on-one, discuss the programs, and go into detail in that capacity. So let's jump in here. First, our mission and vision statement. I think the biggest things to note with RIT and the culture here is we are very driven and focused on experiential learning. So you will see that in our programs, both from a curricular standpoint, but also we offer a very strong co-op and internship program, which I'll touch on later in the presentation. But I think we are very career focused and driven to ultimately work with our students to get them on track for what they have focused on from a career perspective. So, um, and I think the other piece is we do heavily value the technical aspects that are associated with the business curriculum. So we're obviously an institute of technology, so we really focus on integrating those technologies into everything that we do. With AI becoming more and more at the forefront of everyday life, really, we are focused on how that is integrated into businesses on the whole. So you'll see that infused, but also just technology on the whole and how it's used and can be optimized um, throughout the curriculum and your career opportunities. Saunders College of Business is AACSB accredited, so that's an important piece to note when you are looking at various business schools. Only 5% of business schools hold that accreditation. So you'll notice sometimes there'll be certain companies and organizations that may hire just specifically from those accredited business schools. So you want to be mindful of that and mindful of the strengths that your given school has. So I think that's an important piece to be mindful of when you are searching and looking at different opportunities from a graduate business perspective. Um, we have just over 700 undergrad students and just over 300 graduate students. At the graduate level in particular, we are quite diverse. So we have, I believe it's just over 40% of our students are international on the graduate side and a very strong male to female ratio as well, about 45% in that area, female to male. But the diversity also comes through in the various countries represented. So we do have a lot of students, obviously, domestically, but a large contingent of students from India, a nice chunk of students from China, but we have students from all over the world, Europe, Africa, various countries across a multitude of different areas and disciplines. We are also a very strong Fulbright school as well. So we get a lot of Fulbright students that will join our programs. All right. And then we also have a very strong alumni network as well. So our alumni are very active. They give back to campus and the community regularly. And oftentimes you will see them on webinars, you'll see them on campus. It's a really good connection point for students to, help launch careers potentially in given areas. All right, so these are some of our rankings. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these, but I know, folks do take these into consideration, and I think it's an important aspect when you're looking at schools and opportunities. A couple of the big ones, from a national perspective, RIT is in the top 100 of national universities. We cracked the top 100 about 3 years ago. We're up to 88 at this point. That's a big distinction there. The U.S. obviously has tons of universities, colleges, and programs, so that's great. And I think the big notable one again, I mentioned the co-op and internship piece is number 5 nationally for co-op and internships, which is incredible. And again, it just speaks to the strengths of our programs and the diligence that we do when it comes to the career opportunities. And again, you can see there that that feeds into the Forbes ranking as well, in terms of the top 15 of launching your career. And then you can see here specific program rankings. So top 100 for MBA, rankings from that standpoint. You can see some of the MS program rankings as well. And then these undergraduate rankings, again, it's important to note that because those things do feed into graduate programs. We have faculty that teach on both sides, the undergrad and graduate side. So, yeah, so I think, and then from a New York State perspective, top 5 for undergraduate business programs, but again, feeding into the graduate programs that are offered. And then this is our program portfolio. So we do have an MBA program. Um, and I think the key thing here is kind of understanding what the difference is between an MBA and an MS program, so a Master of Science program versus the Master of Business Administration. The MBA is a more generalist degree, so you're getting exposure to a variety of different business disciplines. And then our program does give you the opportunity to dive a little bit more deeply into an area if you like via elective coursework, or you can kind of put together a smattering of different elective courses as well. There's 5 electives in the MBA and 11 core courses. So it is a lengthier program compared to a Master of Science. A Master of Science program is discipline specific. So it goes deeply, but there's just less courses because it's not as broad as an MBA. Most of our MS programs are 10 courses, 30 credits. The MBA's 16 courses, 48 credits. If you do have a previous undergrad business background from the US, we typically are able to waive classes based on that curriculum within the MBA. So there are avenues where you can accelerate the program. That's the Accelerated Plus One MBA, all the way down to just 30 credits, depending on how many courses you can waive. So that's another important piece to be mindful of. And all of our programs have a full and part-time pathway. The other important thing to know is for the MBA, it is possible to start that program any semester, including the summer, so fall, spring, and summer. We're past the point at which you could start this summer, so the next start term would be fall, which is the end of August. But we do have fall, spring, and summer opportunities. Our MS programs typically are fall only starts, especially full time. Depending on what you're looking for, there could be avenues where you could potentially start an MS program part-time in the spring. But generally speaking, for the most part, it's full-time only for the MS programs in terms of starting in the fall. A couple things in that MS program and I'll get into this a little bit more as we go forward, but you can see here a lot of our programs are STEM designated as well, including the MBA. That is for those international students who are looking for that OPT, postgraduate work experience extension, which is 2 years. So in totality, you can get 3 years of work opportunity in the US with that STEM designation. Our business analytics program did update its title just this year to add the AI component. Again, that's been there, but we wanted to, further indicate that that's a key component of the program and what we're doing. We also have a new fully online option with that program. And then another program not listed here, but that will be coming soon is an MS program in management. So we recently redeveloped our organizational leadership and innovation program, and our MS in technology, innovation management, and entrepreneurship. We kind of blended those two programs together to make an MS in management. There will be some key distinctions with that program, but it's an important piece to know. And MS management programs typically are fairly focused for those folks that are looking to grow into managerial careers and want to focus and gain leadership skills and abilities that will help them further themselves from a management perspective. So that will be coming as well. We'll see. I'm not sure what the start date will be for that. In all likelihood, it'll probably be fall of 27, but maybe sooner if we're able to get the approvals needed for that program. Also unclear if that will be a STEM program or not. They're still working through the logistics there, but that is something else that's coming. And then we do have a couple advanced certificates. Advanced certificates are more micro master's programs, basically. They are smaller in length. They are typically 4 courses, 12 credits. And then some students will actually consider, whether it's through us or a different college at RIT, adding an advanced certificate while they are studying their graduate program and that degree. So there's an advanced certificate in project management through our School of Individualized Studies, and some students will add that to their program. We have had other students add the accounting and financial analytics advanced certificate to programs like business analytics. But that's something noteworthy as well, just to be mindful of. So, and then scholarship opportunities. Obviously, this is an important piece of the process here. These, graduate programs are an investment, and we do provide a variety of different scholarship incentives. So, generally speaking, the scholarships range from 20% to 50% of tuition. We do have an initiative called the RIT Master Plan. That is for RIT alumni who are staying or come back for a graduate degree. Typically, that is a 40% scholarship. However, Saunders College of Business has agreed and is giving an additional 10% on top of that through fall 27. So the total scholarship for those students is 50%. And that's again through fall 27. And that won't stop after fall 27. So if you're admitted for fall 27, you'll get that 50% scholarship for the whole program. But we're going to reevaluate at that point and see kind of where we're at with this initiative. And then for honor students at RIT, we've always given 50%, but we bumped that to 60% given the additional funding that we have for scholarships. So, and again, that's through fall 27. And then we have an initiative called Master Up. So that is for really anyone who has earned a degree from a college or university in the US. I believe it's expanded that its scope in that way. Whether you're international or not, if you have a degree from the US and you are considering applying, your scholarship is 40%. Typically, it's 30% for other students, but within the business school, and again, these are specifically for the business school, it would be a 40% scholarship. And then we do have a variety of partner schools outside of the scope of the New York State area and region. So some of those schools are based in New York State. Some of them are State University New York programs, SUNY schools, as we call them. But we have some others across the scope, and there's about 20 of those schools. Um, you all are, again, similar to the Master Up, your minimum scholarship consideration begins at 40%. And then we do give at least one student from those partner schools a 50% scholarship. So if you are interested in that or know that you fall under that partner school umbrella, let us know and we can assist and ensure that all is good there from a scholarship perspective. But again, if you don't fall under one of these buckets, that's okay. You'll still be considered for scholarships. And again, 20 to 50% is the typical range. Average is somewhere around 30 to 40%. And we are pretty competitive from that standpoint with scholarships. All right, and then quick overview of the different programs that we offer. So the MBA I mentioned earlier, the MBA itself has 11 core courses, including the capstone course, and then there are 5 electives within that program. So 3 of those are STEM electives. Those STEM electives, there's a pretty exhaustive list on our website of those different courses. But just to be mindful of that, you do have to have certain STEM courses. A lot of those fall in business. So there's, analytics courses, MIS courses, some marketing courses that, have those different components in our STEM designated classes. So be mindful of that. But again, the view really it's viewing the MBA as almost like a T-shaped professional, right? You're getting that broad exposure to different business disciplines and then diving deeper potentially in a specific area. And then again, if you do have undergraduate business coursework, we can look at potentially accelerating the program to get you completed with it in potentially a 1 year time frame, if you do have that ability. And then we do have a very strong program in global supply chain management at the master's level. This is a 12-month, 30 credit program for those folks interested in expanding their scope and understanding of supply chain from a global standpoint. It is underscored by a really strong analytical and quantitative aspect in terms of understanding all the different variables that go into a supply chain and being able to analyze that um, at a very high level to ensure and enhance that ability from a supply chain standpoint. You do not have to have a previous supply chain background. We have plenty of students that are joining this program from various disciplines and are building those skills and their knowledge base in that area. So it's not something that, has to be in necessarily previous experience there. So um, that's another key component of this and to be mindful of in a lot of cases with the MS programs is it's not something necessarily that you have to have a specific background in. But yeah, this is a great program, very, very strong career outcomes. Our program director, Dr. Kevin Sweeney, has done an exceptional job, building opportunities and connections for our students from a career perspective. So lots of great things happening in this space. And then we do have a Master of Science program in finance. This is also STEM designated. There is one additional credit here for a prep aspect to a comprehensive exam that's associated with this program. But this is designed for folks that are looking to prepare for careers in managerial finance, corporate investment, or portfolio management. The other thing to note here is we used to have a MS program in computational finance. So much more of a quantitative heavy field for those that might have interest in building financial models or being what's often referred to as a quant engineer. There is a path to still do that within this program because it is now STEM designated. So if you really do want to kind of get into that more financial mathematics heavy type of background, we have pathways for that. So keep that in mind, and that this program can be catered a little bit to that. And that's one of the key aspects of this program is even though it's only 31 credits, it is very flexible. There's 4 core classes, including options and futures, securities and investment analysis, and then there's 2 core and foundational finance and accounting courses. But after that point, the rest of the program is elective. So you really get a chance to develop a path that makes the most sense for you. And that's one of the key aspects of this program. And then our MS in Accounting and Analytics. So this program is one in particular of the MS programs that typically does dictate at least some background in accounting from a coursework perspective. So minimally, most students who are looking at this program at least have like a minor, an equivalent to an accounting minor, or heavy accounting work experience. Because the program can also set you on track for the CPA exam, so the chartered or the certified public accountancy exam. So that's often why students may pursue this, but it does obviously help to have that accounting background is something we look for. But this program really focuses on connecting that strong accounting skill set to a strong analytics and management information systems base, and also at this point, understanding the AI aspects of the accounting field and how that's used as a tool. But it is a great opportunity for students who are looking for that very specific, extension of what they might have studied at the undergraduate level in accounting. And you can see here some of the different courses that are associated in the program. And again, this is another STEM designated program, so it's a lot of really good opportunities there as well. And then our MS Business Analytics and AI program, this tends to be of our MS programs, one of the largest ones, just given that drive for organizations and companies looking for students who have really strong skill sets from a data perspective, being able to lead, strategize, formulate the collection of that and use that data to enhance decision making and use it in a way that's understandable, right? And understandable to stakeholders, how it's impacting various aspects of an organization. Um, R in Python is infused into the program to an extent, those different computer programming languages. It's used in the advanced business analytics course, a little bit in BANA 680, which is now called text analytics. And then it is used a bit in the financial analytics class as well. So it does help to have that skill set. We do provide a boot camp before the semester starts for students that want to and need to brush up on those um, computer programming skills and those languages. We also have a couple different MOOCs, open source classes that are free that students can also take as well. But that can be an important aspect with this program, but also with others that you may be thinking about, or if you're looking at the MBA, but infusing some of the analytics heavy classes, it does help to have that background and skill set. And then the last program I'll highlight here is our Master of Science in Hospitality Business Management. As far as I'm aware, there's only two, I think there's only one or two other um, hospitality STEM designated programs in the US. I know there's one at Boston University. I'm not sure if there are any others, but um, that's a really cool distinction for this program. Our hospitality program has a very, very strong history, a very strong alumni network. And this program really is focused on applying that curriculum for folks that might be looking at a career change or trying to grow into a career in hospitality. And then the program does lend itself well to a secondary focus in other areas. So within hospitality, because it is a business, a lot of those organizations do have the different departments and opportunities to work in areas like finance or accounting. You also have supply chain analytics or entrepreneurship if you're looking at maybe starting your own hospitality style business. So this could be a great program for those students that are looking for that particular skill set and to grow into those careers. And then the outcomes rates, I mentioned this earlier, but we do have a very strong student outcomes rate across all of our programs of 95%. You can actually look at our website as well. There's some details out there regarding individual program outcomes rates, which can vary fairly drastically too, depending on the size of the program. But I mentioned the global supply chain program. I think that one's at 100%. It is a smaller program, but programs like the MS in accounting, that's over 90%. Our largest program, the MBA, typically the MBA is a little bit lower because of the some of the reporting mechanisms for the student outcomes rates, but it's still strong, in that 85 to 90% rate. We really do focus our efforts there in assisting students, across the board and securing and finding the career that fits them the best. These are just some of the highlights with our co-op and career services department and the program itself. It is one of the oldest and largest cooperative education programs in the world. And a co-op, I think, the key thing with the co-op that's different than a traditional internship is the focus of that is one, it's an experience in your field of study. And then two, that experience is generally full-time across at least a full semester, and it's typically a paid experience. Typically, in most cases, students are not um, paying tuition because their sole focus is that co-op experience. So they're not, therefore not taking classes. And you're still viewed as an RIT student when that happens, for international students from a visa perspective, there's no issues there. You get that, opportunity, and that CPT is what they often refer to it as, to engage in those experiences. But it's very robust and a really good opportunity. I would say the co-ops are not required at the graduate level, but I'd say 35% of our students do end up doing one at the graduate level. We do have two very large career fairs each year as well. And then we in the School of Business, the College of Business, offer a variety of different like boutique style fairs or just opportunities to engage with organizations, companies, firms that we have connections with. So you'll see that throughout the work that we do, and also site visits as well. So we've been doing that pretty frequently too, for places like recently we had a group of supply chain students go to Amazon. That's just one example, but there's a big facility about 20 minutes away from our college that students were able to visit. So lots of opportunities there as well to engage and just connecting with not only alumni, but folks in the field professionally. And then this just gives you a snapshot of some of the different alumni that we have partnered with and connected with in the past. And then the other key component before we wrap up is our entrepreneurship opportunities. So RIT is a very entrepreneurial driven university. So we have a lot of really cool opportunities and connection points for folks interested in entrepreneurship. One of those is the Bernard Kozel Startup Program. So this is a program that was actually redeveloped over the last couple of years, but it gives students the opportunity to work with some coaching, mentorship on any entrepreneurial opportunities that they might want to pursue. Typically, this is in a team-based kind of setting, so you get a chance within that startup program to work on that business idea over a summer, and then get a chance to actually present that to um, a variety of folks related to the startup program, some investors as well. We've had students get some investing opportunities as a result of the startup program. Anthony Testa runs the program. He is incredible. He does a lot of really good work with students and connecting them and coaching them through the different opportunities that are available to them. So it's a great opportunity and one example of the different entrepreneurial resources that we have. And it's very interdisciplinary. RIT is a very interdisciplinary campus, which is meaningful because a lot of these endeavors include students from all different programs at RIT. But the one thing all of those, endeavors need is someone who can handle the business functions and opportunities that come about as a result of pursuing such endeavors. We have held Tiger Tank style competitions in the past, similar to Shark Tank, business plan competitions. There is an incubator as well. That's kind of the next level above and beyond the startup program, where students, a select small group of the of entrepreneurial endeavors kind of get an additional layer of support and a lot of really individualized attention there. And then we do have some consulting opportunities, and that comes by way of oftentimes real world projects within the classroom. And then also there is rapid prototyping. We have a lot of really good facilities at RIT, so lots of ways that you can, further work to develop, any ideas that you might have carrying out that need prototyping and stuff like that. And then Saunders College of Business did undergo a significant expansion. Um, just over 2 years ago now, it opened really um, early in 2024 was the kind of official opening. So it's been open for two and a half years at this point. But you can see the top corner here is the photo of the um, the new building. A lot of really good new space in the building. Um, and we have variety of different updates to classrooms, but also areas that we call team rooms, so opportunities for students to reserve spaces within the building that are smaller kind of team room spaces, but it gives them the opportunity to you know have a quiet space to go study. There's a lot of open space in the building as well where students can just kind of get down and get done with work, and carry forward with that. But it basically doubled the size of our original building. So lots of really cool opportunities and spaces there. And then the last thing here is the application process. So you can begin your application if you haven't already at ret.edu/apply. You do have to hold a baccalaureate degree from an accredited institution. Now you can be in progress with that bachelor's degree, but we obviously will need that official transcript when you're done, but acceptances are typically just conditional based on completion of that. So you can apply while you're in progress and with the understanding that the degree is done before you actually start whatever program you're looking at. Generally, most of our programs, really all of them, it helps to have that working knowledge of algebra and statistics. So at least a course or two in those areas is something that we will look for. Most students have that, but if you come from for example, at RIT, we have BFA programs, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and in some cases, students don't have that. That's okay. It's not necessarily an inhibiting factor to being admitted, but will help get you that coursework prior to starting the program. And then you'll submit all official transcripts of previously completed undergrad, and if you have any graduate coursework, submit those as well. And then we, in essence, for the GMAT or GRE, so that is required for international students. If you are a domestic student or an international student that earned a degree, an undergrad degree or above in the US, it is waived. And then in addition to that, we are also the GMAT or GRE is optional for 4 of our MS programs: accounting and analytics, finance, global supply chain management, and hospitality business management. So basically, at high level, if you completed a degree in the US, regardless of domestic or international, the GMAT GRE is waived. If not, and you're applying to a program like the MBA, I'm an international student, it would be required. Same for the business analytics and AI program. So, be mindful of that as well. But take note of that. That is a little bit of a shift from previous years. And then you'll also submit a personal statement. This is typically regarding and surrounding your educational objectives, and then a current resume. And then we do require the IELTS or TOEFL for international applicants. And again, that's specific to those who have not completed a degree in the US. So if you completed a degree in Nigeria, for example, you would be required to take the IELTS or TOEFL. We also now accept Duolingo as well. So for the IELTS or TOEFL, TOEFL specifically, we look for scores no lower than an 88. We prefer scores to be above a 92, if that's possible. But we will consider students at the 88 level and above. And then for the IELTS, scores should be no lower than a 6.5. And again, we do like to see a 7.0 or above, but again, 6.5 is okay. And then Duolingo, again, is also now accepted. The minimum score for us is a 130 for Duolingo. I think in some instances we'll go down to a 120 threshold. My understanding is the Duolingo is the most cost-effective option that is out there. So that's one of the big reasons why we added that to our options for students. And then again, next steps. I mentioned this earlier, but for those that are interested in starting their application, feel free to do that. Um, Again, you can do that at rit.edu/apply. And then for RIT, current RIT students, alumni, or any of our Plus One partner students, you are eligible for an application fee waiver. For RIT, current RIT students and alumni, that waiver should be processed automatically. For any of our partner school students, the application fee waiver has to be done um, um, manually. So you would need to send an email to the grad bus account here at rit.edu to request that waiver. Um, and again, as I mentioned earlier, feel free to meet with us one-on-one as well. So this is kind of that first step and exposure to what we have and what we offer. But we can certainly connect one-on-one and make connections, with myself, but also with program directors, faculty, current students, alumni. All of those things are certainly possible. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Appreciate your time and hopefully we'll be able to connect in the future. But thank you and have a good day.